Alright, today I'm going to be telling you about the anesthesia machine. Right now it's set up as a rebreathing system. So I'm just going to tell you about the parts of it and the order of flow of oxygen through it. So the first step is your oxygen. These are your E cylinders. They're small, they're portable. Let's see, these attach to the anesthesia machine and is about 700 liters. There are bigger ones. Those are the H cylinders. And those usually stay attached to the wall because since they're oxygen, they are combustible, so they have to be chained to the wall. Because if they fall, they become a huge missile. And then the H cylinders contain about 7,000 liters. And like I said, both are combustible. You always want to make sure your O2 is on to do your pressure check and check for your PSI. And then our second step is the yoke. That is this part right here. It attaches to the oxygen tank to the anesthesia machine. It has two holes and a pin index. The black piece on top opens the oxygen tank, and this is to ensure that the correct cylinder is attached to the O2. Right, our third step is the pressure reducing valve. Let me turn them around. This guy right here is your pressure reducing valve. Reduces the pressure of the gas coming out of the compressed gas cylinder from the 2200 psi, and it brings it down to about 45 to 50 psi. It also makes pressure low enough that it is safe for the anesthetic equipment, but not safe for the patient just yet. Right, then our next piece that we have here is the pressure gauge. This just shows us how much O2 is left in the tank. It's kind of similar to a fuel gauge. Your car, it tells you how many miles till empty. All right, and then the fifth step is the oxygen tubing, which is this green part right here. This carries oxygen from the oxygen cylinder to the flow meter. It's going to be our fifth step here to our flow meter. This is the sixth step, and it allows you to monitor and control how much oxygen your patient is getting. It will show you the O2 in liters per minute, and it reduces pressure from the gas to a safe pressure for the patient. It's about 15 to 20 psi. The ball in the center of this part right here, when you turn it on, when the oxygen turns on, you want to set it to a certain liter. You just turn this on and the ball will rise. And then the next step is our vaporizer inlet. This takes oxygen from the flow meter and then into this black tubing into the vaporizer inlet. And then the eighth step is our vaporizer. This converts liquid anesthetic agent into a vaporizer that can then be mixed with the oxygen to be delivered to the patient by ET tube, mask, and or chamber, whichever way you want to give the inhalant. The inhalant is specific dial adjustment on here. I'm not going to play with it just because it's not on. And then there are precision and non-precision vapors. This is the one that we use in house, is the isoflurane. The sevoflurane is another one that we can use, but we use the isoflurane mostly because it is a lot cheaper. It's about $10 per bottle, while this is about $200 to $300 per bottle. So this is a lot safer, not safer, cheaper to use, and it is a little bit safer as well. And this is where you can actually see your liquid is in here. And then after the different inhalants that you can use, it comes to the vaporizer outlet, which part is right here. Then I can go into two different areas, and then it's used to vaporize a liquid and anesthetic agent and deliver a controlled amount to the patient. Right, and then the 10th step is our reservoir bag. So this stores gas and O2 to provide a consistent supply to the patient that is not used via inhalation. It is an indicator of the patient's respirations and lung function. So when you exhale, it'll inflate, and when you inhale, it'll deflate. And there are sizes. They ranges from, I want to say 2.5 to about 5 liters. And usually you just pick a whole number in between, and there is a formula to find this. All right, and the 11th step is the negative pressure valve. This prevents backflow of gas going from the patient back into the vaporizer and helps direct proper gas flow to the patient via flutter or disc. All right, and the patient is hooked up to the inspiratory tubing. And then, before that, we have the inhalation valve, which allows the patient to breathe in the inhalant and will be labeled and will shake when patient inhales. And the 13th step is the inspiratory tubing. This part will be attached to an ET tube or a mask or a chamber, whatever it needs to be attached to. And there's 2 tubes. It's one on the outside, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's one on the inside. So when the patient inhales, the white tubing on the inside will humidify. The white piece on the end, like I said, will attach to an ET tube. Let's see. The tube runs inside the expiratory limb. Colored portion leads to the inspiratory valve, less tubing, and warms and humidifies the air. Our 14th step is our exhalation tubing. The exhalation tubing, for one, it's bendable, so that's nice. And it carries respiratory gases with volatile anesthetics to and from patients during general anesthesia. All right, and then we have our exhalation valve. This prevents backflow of gas to the patient, so they don't have to breathe in the exhaled gas. Pulls air towards the machine and exits and recycles air either via the pop-off valve, CO2 canister, or at the scavenge, and helps direct proper gas flow away from the patient via flutter or disc. Our next piece is the pop-off valve itself. I showed you in a previous video how to turn it off and on for a pressure check, but we always keep it on no matter what. Only time you turn it off is during a pressure check. And another button you can press for a pressure check is this. It's just a quick pop-off valve, but this one I feel like is more reliable. All right, and it allows gas out of the breathing circuit and directs it towards the scavenger outside the system, or recirculated to be reused via the CO2 canister. And then our next step is the scavenge tubing. There's 2 different colors. For rebreathing, it's pink. For non-rebreathing, it is blue. And it transports exhaled carbon and takes it to the scavenger. Turn around for you. You can see the scavenger. This is the scavenger. It's active or passive system. Let's see, the active is expensive sucking system, and passive is a charcoal canister, the one that we have here. It has a absorber inside of it to access anesthetic gases in the bottom so air can flow, and contains activated charcoal and needs to be weighed after every use. All right, and the next step is our CO2 canister or absorber. It contains soda lime granules. The granules are white, and the canister in turn purple when in use. The granules need to be changed every 8 hours of use. If not changed, CO2 can build up and lead to hypercapnia, respiratory acidosis, and tachypnea, which is fast breathing, and just wear proper PPE when changing. All right, then our next step is the manometer. Right. This shows the amount of pressure in the breathing circuit. Negative pressure release valve Allows room air to enter and regulate reading. It should never be higher than 20 centimeters per water for small animals for both pressure checking and IPPV. And then our last up is our O2 flush. This flush is an anesthetic machine with 100% pure O2 used to pressure check or bleeding the lines of the system, and do not touch while patient is hooked to machine. And that is everything of the rebreathing system.